I'm Liyana Hassanel and this is Nightline, the top stories.
Apa dia?
Interstate travel may be possible soon, says Health Minister. And Finance Minister to propose raising statutory debt limit to 65%. Good morning. The Standard Operating Procedures, SOPs for interstate travel, is currently being finalized. Hence, Health Minister Khairy urged the public to be patient, as his ministry is currently working out the finer details before deciding to allow travelling. The government has maintained its stance that interstate travel be banned, citing it as one of the biggest reasons for cases of COVID-19 spreading across the country. Currently, the country's COVID-19 SOP still does not allow non-essential travel between states.
We've landed on a recommendation. Jadi kita akan bawa ke MKN dalam masa dekat. Ada harapan, cuma saya minta sabar sekejap lagi. Little bit more time. Ya. Ha? Apa dia? Yalah, nak balik, nak tengok ni, nak jumpa orang tua semua. But it's all there, but just give us a bit more time. You all know that buka aja rentas negeri is asking for trouble. We all know this, right? Just a bit more time. Ada beberapa negeri yang mana masih lagi nilai ambang vaksinasi dia rendah sedikit. Ya, by the end of September ni, semua negeri akan sampai nilai ambang 60% lengkap. Populasi dewasa lengkap vaksinasi. So sikit lagi, just a bit more time.
At present, only the Klang Valley, Labuan, Sarawak, Negeri Sembilan, Perlis and Melaka have fully vaccinated 60% of their adults. The other states are still between 41.5% to 59%. Meanwhile, the Health Minister said he will be discussing a proposal to make COVID-19 vaccinations mandatory for teachers and that he will hold discussions with the Education Ministry first, as there were legal implications.
We will be discussing with KPM on when we feel it's safe for schools to open. Belum lagi.
Are you saying that because the plan is supposed to be October 1, so you think that it should be postponed for now?
We'll have a discussion and a risk assessment discussion with KPM.
He said even the travel sector is also looking at it, but that's for them to implement at the sectoral and company level. For instance, he said if an airline insists that show proof of vaccination is needed, then that's entirely up to them. Meanwhile, the Education Ministry has determined that some 2,500 teachers who have refused to be vaccinated will not be allowed to interact with students face-to-face when schools reopen on October 3rd. Senior Education Minister Datuk Dr. Radzi Jidin said the measure was to ensure that the school ecosystem would be safe for students.
Pihak KPPM akan keluarkan garis panduan tugasan untuk guru-guru yang tidak divaksinkan ini, dan pada masa yang sama kita sedang berbincang dengan pihak Jabatan Perkhidmatan Awam JPA tentang apakah tindakan yang boleh diambil kepada guru-guru yang masih belum divaksinkan ini. So kita masih ada peringkat perbincangan dengan pihak JPA.
He said some 96.7% of teachers have received at least one shot, while 85.26% have completed both shots. Datuk Dr. Radzi said that besides teachers, school support staff including canteen workers, cleaning staff and security guards at schools must also be vaccinated. School session for face-to-face teaching and learning sessions will remain as scheduled, and that's on October 3rd. Dr. Radzi, however, said it is excluded for states that are still in Phase 1 of the National Recovery Plan, NRP. Dr. Radzi said the decision was made after considering all factors, including the views of the Health Ministry and the National Security Council. He explained that in-depth planning and research have been done by the ministry to ensure that students will be in a safe environment. Among them are the standard operating procedures, SOP, which will be tightened.
Ramai yang kata kenapa kita seolah-olah lambat. Ini bukan soal lambat. Ini adalah soal ketelitian. Kita perlu mengambil kira keadaan semasa. Pada hari ini, ya kes tinggi, tapi kita lihat bahawa masyarakat telah divaksinkan. Dan perkara-perkara ini, nilai-nilai ambang ini telah diambil kira dalam Pelan Pemulihan Negara. Maka kita gunakan Pelan Pemulihan Negara ini sebagai asas kita untuk membantu kita menetapkan apakah pendekatan yang kita ingin gunakan apabila kita ingin buka sekolah kelab.
He said this after holding a series of meetings with teachers, principals and the Parents and Teachers Association, PTA, for schools throughout Perlis on Friday. He added that the teachers have provided good cooperation by expressing their views on the best method in dealing with the crisis at this time. Commenting on the home teaching and learning sessions, PDPR, he said a special media conference would be held in the near future. The Prime Minister called on the entire Malaysian family to register for vaccination if they have yet to do so. Datuk Seri Ismail Sabri Yaakob said this is to enable the country to safely achieve herd immunity against COVID-19. On his Facebook post on Friday, the Prime Minister said to achieve herd immunity, those who have yet to register for vaccination should do so as soon as possible. He pointed out that it was great to see those who are fully vaccinated dining in at restaurants and spending time outside. For those who have yet to be fully vaccinated, he said, God willing, their time will come soon. Malaysia aims to achieve herd immunity by end of this year.
Entrusted to manage the country during tough times, a cabinet selected to stabilize the country and put the interests of the people first. Speed is of the essence. How does the new administration prove its performance in the first 100 days? Money Matters speaks to ICMR Chairman Tan Sri Munir Majid.
Join Zahir Kelvin Ong Abdullah this Saturday at 5 p.m. only on TV3.
Finance Minister Datuk Seri Tengku Zafrul Abdul Aziz will propose to raise the statutory debt limit to 65% from the current 60% of the gross domestic product (GDP) in Parliament. Although the statutory debt to GDP ratio is currently at 58%, he said the ratio is expected to tilt above 60% by year end.
Given the commitment of the government to continue to support the people and the businesses, our debt to GDP will probably go up above 60%, above the statutory limit of 60%, right, by end of the year. And because of that, we have to go to Parliament to increase that from 60 to above. And of course, the plan is to present to Cabinet first, which I will be presenting next week, to increase it to 65%, and then go to Parliament at the right time.
Speaking to the media, he added that the government would not borrow in foreign currencies for now, as there is ample liquidity in the market to tap into. To date, about 97% of the government's total borrowing is ringgit denominated. The Transport Ministry has extended the deadline for renewal of driving licenses and road tax until December 31st. Its Minister Datuk Seri Dr. Wee Ka Siong said expired road tax or motor vehicle licenses (LKM) and Malaysian driving licenses (LMM) will not be subject to enforcement and compliance activities by the Road Transport Department (RTD) and police until the end of the year.
Ini bermakna kenyataan sebelum ini yang dikatakan penguatkuasaan akan bermula pada 1 Oktober tidak akan dilakukan sehinggalah 31 Disember 2021. Ini melihat situasi pandemik COVID-19 dan kita tak mahu membebankan rakyat.
He said motorists with expired road tax must, however, ensure that the insurance for their vehicles are valid, and as such, they must display their insurance e-cover note for authorities to check. In August, the JPJ had said that all road users must renew their licenses by September 30th, and that checks on compliance and enforcement would start from October 1st. On another matter, Datuk Sri Dr. Wee also said victims of floods in Yan, Kedah, whose JPJ documents had been destroyed, will be given a replacement free of charge. Datuk Sri Dr. Wee said the ministry has also agreed to allow JPJ and Puspacom counters to operate at 100% capacity for walk-in service beginning Monday. Customers who want to perform transactions at counters, however, must be fully vaccinated and show their COVID-19 low-risk status on the MySejahtera application. The Negeri Sembilan government is optimistic of transitioning to Phase 4 of the National Recovery Plan soon. Menteri Besar Datuk Sri Aminuddin Harun said that this was following the state's achievement to reach herd immunity level with 80.9% of individuals completing the second dose thus far. Datuk Sri Aminuddin said, however, that several things are still being studied, including the number of patients in the intensive care unit, ICU, before further action would be taken.
Dos pertama kita dah sampai 96, setakat hari ini 96, 97.21, lagi 2% lebih saja, 2.8%, dan dos kedua kita capai 80.9%. Ini ada merupakan satu immunity kelompok, immunity kelompok yang kita kejar daripada awal lah itu. Dan kita kalau kita dah capai 80% ni, kita boleh ke fasa 4 sebenarnya, tetapi kita bergantung kepada beberapa perkara lagi. Contohnya di ICU, lepas tu jumlah pesakit yang masuk ward. Jadi kalau ini diambil kira, kita pun mungkin kita akan cuba untuk pastikan dengan kerjasama daripada semua rakyat Negeri Sembilan, insya-Allah kita mampu ke fasa 4 dalam tempoh terdekat juga, insya-Allah.
He said this to reporters after attending the opening of the first meeting of the fourth term of the 14th Negeri Sembilan State Legislative Assembly on Friday. Datuk Sri Aminuddin also expressed his deepest appreciation to all parties and the people in the state who cooperated well in the efforts to move to Phase 3 of the National Recovery Plan, which begins on Saturday. In the meantime, Datuk Sri Aminuddin said that the state government's next move is to track those who have not been vaccinated in the state, and action will be taken once all individuals on the MySejahtera list complete their first dose next week. He noted the possibility that some of them may have dropped out or did not register due to certain factors, including living in rural areas or having health problems. Bid to smuggle out drugs worth over 14 million ringgit foiled. Details when we return.
Membeli kereta terpakai kini mudah sekali.
Welcome back. The Customs Department on Friday has seized 14.4 million ringgit worth of methamphetamine at the KL International Airport KLIA cargo complex. The seizure comes just 2 weeks after it foiled an attempt to smuggle 6.6 million ringgit worth of the same drug out of the airport. Customs Director General Datuk Sri Abdul Latif Abdul Qadir said the drug was originally destined for a country in the Asia-Pacific region and weighs about 400 kilograms. He said 3 suspects aged between 25 and 56, including a datuk, were detained along with the cargo and added that all suspects tested negative for drugs.
Bertindak atas maklumat pada hari Selasa 31 Ogos 2021 lebih kurang jam 4.10 pagi, sepasukan anggota kastam daripada cawangan narkotik Ibu Pejabat telah menyita 2 buah kotak kayu di Kompleks Kargo Udara KLIA Sepang, Selangor. Hasil pemeriksaan tersebut ke atas kotak-kotak kayu berkenaan, anggota telah menjumpai 8 buah kotak yang terdapat 400 bungkusan teh mengandungi bahan kristal jernih disyaki dadah jenis metamfetamin, berat kasar lebih kurang 400 kg yang dianggarkan bernilai sebanyak ringgit Malaysia 14.4 juta.
He added that preliminary investigation showed the suspects had successfully made 11 similar shipments since last year. The trio has been remanded till September 13th to assist in the probe under Section 39B (1) A of the Dangerous Drugs Act 1952, which provides the mandatory death penalty upon conviction. On August 16th, Customs had foiled a similar attempt to smuggle 184 kilograms of methamphetamine worth some 6.6 million ringgit from KLIA, along with the arrest of 4 individuals. In the federal capital, police shot a suspect and arrested 4 others in brickfields following a robbery on Friday. Bukit Aman CID Director Datuk Sri Abdul Jalil Hassan said in the 1 p.m. incident, officers from the Kuala Lumpur Police Contingent Headquarters and Sentul CID trailed the suspects who were in a Nissan Almera through the city. Datuk Sri Abdul Jalil said the vehicle was seen near a number of banks in Sentul and Dangwangi. One of the suspects was seen deflating the tires of a car belonging to a woman and then trailing her to a petrol station in Cheras, after which the group stole a bag containing 194,000 ringgit in cash. Police followed the suspects before intercepting their vehicle in Jalan Berhala, Brickfields.
Apabila kereta suspek cuba untuk melanggar anggota dan pegawai saya, terpaksa pihak anggota dan pegawai melepaskan tembakan di bahagian depan dan mengenai sasaran salah seorang suspek di dalam kereta, dan suspek tersebut telah mendapat cedera untuk dibawa seterusnya ke hospital untuk mendapat rawatan.
Police then detained 4 non-citizens, including 2 women believed to be Latin Americans. In Malacca, a Myanmar woman who obtained her COVID-19 vaccination by using the identity of another person was sentenced to 18 months jail by the Ayakroh Magistrates Court on Friday. Magistrate Muhammad Nazrin Ali Rahim meted out the sentence after the accused, 27-year-old Tat Tat Mar, pleaded guilty to 3 charges. On the first and second charge, That, an assistant at a food shop, was charged with deceiving 43-year-old Dr. Deong She Yi and 23-year-old nurse G. Savitri by using a passport belonging to another individual in order to obtain both doses of the COVID-19 vaccine at Clinic Medidion, Taman Cheng Perdana on July 28th and August 18th. Both the charges were framed under Section 419 of the Penal Code for cheating by personation, which provides imprisonment for up to 7 years or fine or both if found guilty. She was also charged under the Immigration Act for entering and staying in Malaysia without valid documents. The judge sentenced her to 6 months jail on each count to be served concurrently from the date of her arrest, which was on August 18th. Still to come on Nightline. Extremist killed after stabbing 6 in supermarket.
Oh.
Japanese Prime Minister Yoshihide Suga on Friday announced that he would step down, setting the stage for a new premier after a one-year tenure marred by an unpopular COVID-19 response and rapidly dwindling public support. Suga, who took over after Shinzo Abe resigned last September, has seen support ratings sink below 30% as the nation struggles with its worst wave of COVID-19 infections ahead of a general election this year. He also did not capitalize on his last major achievement, hosting the Olympics, which were postponed months before Suga took office as coronavirus cases surged. Suga's decision not to seek re-election as the ruling Liberal Democratic Party election this month means the party will choose a new leader who will become Prime Minister. So far, there is no clear front-runner, but the popular minister in charge of vaccination rollout, Taro Kono, intends to run, while former Foreign Minister Fumio Kishida has already thrown his hat in the ring. Police in New Zealand shot and killed a knife-wielding terrorist after he stabbed and wounded at least 6 people in an Auckland supermarket. Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern said the incident was a terrorist attack carried out by a Sri Lankan national who had been in New Zealand for 10 years and was under police surveillance for about 5 years.
What happened today was despicable. It was hateful. It was wrong. It was carried out by an individual, not a faith, not a culture, not an ethnicity, but an individual person who was gripped by ideology that is not supported here by anyone or any community.
Ardern said the man, who has not been identified, was a supporter of the Daesh terrorist group. The incident took place at the Countdown supermarket in the district of Newland on Friday afternoon. The attacker reportedly took a large knife from a display cabinet in the store and went on a stabbing spree. Of the 6 wounded people, 3 were in critical condition and 1 in serious condition. Meanwhile, Police Commissioner Andrew Coster said that the man was acting alone and police were confident there was no further threat to the public. Over in Indonesia, at least 4 soldiers were killed while 2 others were wounded in an ambush by guerrillas in the breakaway region of Papua. According to authorities, the incident occurred when more than 30 rebels ambushed a military outpost in Maibrat, attacking the soldiers with machetes before escaping into the jungle. After hours of searching the jungle, security forces arrested 2 members of the rebel group responsible for the ambush. The military has also ordered a manhunt and vowed to destroy the rebels in response to Thursday's killings. In the meantime, officials said the bodies of the dead soldiers have been flown home for burial, while the 2 wounded security forces are currently being treated at a hospital. Papua rebels have claimed responsibility for the killing, which took place just a week after the group killed 2 construction workers in Yahukino district in the region's highlands. Over in the U.S., flash flooding killed at least 44 people in 4 northeastern states as remnants of Hurricane Ida unleashed torrential rains that swept away cars, submerged New York City subway lines, and grounded airline flights. Across large swaths of New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and Connecticut, residents spent the day coping with waterlogged basements, power outages, damaged roofs, and calls for help from friends and family members stranded by flooding. At least 13 people lost their lives in New York City, along with 3 in suburban Westchester County. While over in New Jersey, at least 23 people had perished in the storm. U.S. President Joe Biden, meanwhile, declared that an emergency exists in the states of New Jersey and New York and ordered federal assistance to supplement local response efforts due to conditions resulting from the remnants of Hurricane Ida. Novak Djokovic cruises into third round of the US Open. Sports up next. Sports. National badminton ace Chia Lik-hoo maintained his fine run in the Paralympic Games, beating home shuttler Tayo Imai to emerge as the men's singles SU5 physical impairment Group B champion on Friday. After leading the Japanese 11-9 before the interval, a series of mistakes proved costly for Lik-hoo, allowing Tayo to level the tie at 19-19. Before the Malaysian shuttler regained his composure to take the first set 21-19. In the second set, Lik-hoo produced a scintillating display from the start to win 21-12. The semi-final match is scheduled to be held Saturday morning, while the final will be in the evening. Meanwhile, Malaysian swimmer Brenda Anelia Larry failed to progress to the women's 50-meter backstroke S4 physical impairment final after she ended her debut in Paralympic Games in the 5th place of the first heat on Friday. The 16-year-old Sabahan clocked 59.33 seconds and ranked 11th place out of 15 swimmers from 2 heats. On to tennis. Novak Djokovic moved closer to completing his Grand Slam dream by dismissing Dutchman Talon Griekspoor in the second round of the US Open. Djokovic dominated every statistical category. He served well to the tune of 13 aces and returned well enough to win half of Griekspoor's service games. He also dominated baseline exchanges en route to his 6-2, 6-3 and 6-2 win. The world number 1 is chasing history in the US Open 2021 and is few wins away from clinching the title for the 4th time in his tennis career. As we wrap up Nightline this time around, let's take a look at this couple who spent over $55,000 US transforming their backyard into a Japanese garden paradise. 66-year-old Graeme Tate first began the project 25 years ago at his detached home in Rossington, South Yorkshire with his wife Lynn Tate. With that, I'm Liyana Hassanel. Thank you for watching and stay safe, Malaysia.